Come with us into the unknown. Join us on a journey that will open your eyes and push the boundaries of your imagination. Ghostly figures, beasts of Dartmoor, aliens and timeless legends. This is Haunted Devon on Soundart Radio 102.5 FM.
Good evening everyone and welcome to another Monday night edition of Haunted Devon, broadcasting live from the Soundart Studios, Dartington on 102.5 FM. On tonight's show, Patrick Burns, US paranormal investigator and the star of US Hits TV show Haunting Evidence, joins us on the line. I'm not alone in the studio tonight though, new production crew, say hello. They're all here tonight, everyone's here, and we'll be back right after this.
There are no reasons. What reason do you need to be shown? Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I wanna shoot the whole day down. Telex machine is kept so clean and it types to a waiting world. A mother feels so shocked, father's world is rocked, and their thoughts turn to their own little girl. Sweet 16 ain't that peachy keen, now it ain't so neat to admit defeat. They can see no reasons, cause there are no reasons. What reasons do you need? Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I wanna shoot the whole day down, down, down. Shoot it all down. Stopped in the playground now. She wants to play with the toys a while. And school's out early and soon we be learning, and the lesson today is how to die. And then the bullhorn crackles and the captain tackles with the problems in the house and wife. And he can see no reasons, cause there are no reasons. What reason do you need to die? Die, and the silicon chip inside a head gets switched to overload. Oh, and nobody's gonna go to school today. She's gonna make them stay.
Yes, Monday night, and Byron here, sat in Dartington, Haunted Devon Radio, Soundart 102.5 FM. We're here. Joining us on the line, Patrick Burns, US paranormal investigator, presenter, author. In the studio, Graham, chairman of Haunted Devon, tech manager, Neil, and someone sat in the background who doesn't want to speak, but we'll get round to that later. Patrick, are you there?
I am indeed. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, we can hear you just fine. Thank you very much for joining us on this wonderful Monday night. And you are live to Haunted Devon in the UK. How are you doing?
Doing just fine. Thank you for having me on.
Oh no, thank you. We heard that you were in a storm. Is that true?
Yeah, we were dodging tornadoes here in the Midwest portion of the U.S. here. A couple of days ago, there was just a really bad rash of storms that rolled through the Midwest, and we ended up actually having to cancel one of our Ghost Stock Paranormal Enthusiast events because of the inclement weather. I'm not sure if you all have anything like this in the UK. These storms, these tornadoes are quite terrifying and just very, very unpredictable. They just you'll get a thunderstorm system that rolls through, and they spurn these storms that just pop out of nowhere. Very unpredictable and very frightening to deal with. So we decided to err on the side of caution and called the event and issued a full refund to our attendees and said we'll have to postpone the event and do it at another point in time. But yeah, it was a little scary there for a while here.
Yeah, it was a little scary, yeah, because I thought I was going to have to behave as you tonight. Actually, I had lined up some replacements, but it's good to have you on board, Patrick. Thanks very much for joining us again. The first question is going to be, the usual. How did you become involved in the paranormal?
Well, like most of your guests probably answer, it's been a lifelong curiosity of mine and interest. And it really, I was raised in a normal, if you want to call it that, American family home, and my parents were very well-meaning back at the time when I was younger, and they assured me that there were no such things as ghosts, just subjects of spooky stories, and something that my brothers were using to frighten me and scare me and get me. And it turns out when I was, I guess somewhere around the age of 9 or 10 years old, I can't remember the exact date, but I was informed by my mom that the woman who had purchased my grandparents' home after they had both passed away saw the ghost of my grandmother in her kitchen one morning while she was fixing breakfast. And that really was very fascinating to me at that point, because I'd been led to believe there were no such things as ghosts, and now not only do they exist, but apparently my own grandmother is a ghost or was a ghost. And that really just sort of propelled my curiosity. Back in 1985, I had a brother who was killed in a very horrible automobile accident, and that had a huge impact on me, and I think it became sort of a spiritual mission to me at that point to try and figure out what happens to us after we die. I wanted to find something other than what mainstream religion tells me to believe. I wanted to actually find actual tangible evidence that I could experience that might reassure me that one day I might be reunited with my brother and other loved ones that have passed.
What is your belief now, then? I mean, let's go straight to that question that I've asked every guest that comes on here. What do you think happens to you after you die?
Well, I define myself as a skeptical believer. I believe that if you base it on the law of conversion, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It has to be converted into another form. And the only real question is, does that energy that leaves our body at the point of death, does it retain in our intellect and intelligence and our memories and our feelings? That's the real question. again, like I said, a skeptical believer. I encourage the examination, the careful examination of all claims of paranormal activity. But based on the experiences that I've had, I have to contend. I think that there probably is something that does continue on after death. I certainly hope so.
Well, let's go back now to the time that you actually, you were involved in Haunting Evidence, which is probably one of the most famous shows. I've certainly seen it. I loved it. And I'm interested in finding out more about how you got involved with that show. How did that all come about, Patrick?
That's an interesting story. I founded Ghost Hounds, which was it's kind of on a hiatus right now, paranormal research group in the Atlanta area, Atlanta, Georgia, back in 2001. I dove into ghost hunting as a full-time hobby, I like to call it. Feet first, jumped into it about sometime in 1999 is when I really started getting into this. And 2 years later, I founded my own group in Atlanta. And, we're talking 11 years ago. About 10, 11 years ago, the time that I founded Ghost Hounds, there really weren't any other paranormal research groups around here in the States. I think in the entire state of Georgia, there were maybe 3 or 4 groups, a couple of which were defunct. Now, there's literally just hundreds and hundreds of groups scattered all throughout the United States. So I was one of the ones that got in on the ground floor. And back then, the news media, as they like to do every year here in the States around Halloween, they like to feature something that's topical to Halloween. And when news reporters would find out that there are actually people out there that ghost hunt. Now, of course, it's common knowledge that people do this, but back then, a decade ago, a lot of people didn't really realize what a ghost hunter was. So I kind of got in on the ground floor with the local Atlanta area media. And I was, for a number of years, their go-to guy when they wanted to do a piece on ghosts and hauntings. And what I started doing was collecting our experiences and our appearances that we had on the local media, and I would upload these video clips onto our website. So we had sort of a virtual press kit of sorts, if you will, on the Ghost Hounds website. And a very, very clever thing for us to do back then, because what I quickly discovered was that media exposure begets more media exposure. The more you've worked with media, the more media want to work with you. It's kind of a snowball effect. And I ended up putting all these clips from the sound bites we had done on the 10 o'clock evening news up on our website. And I ended up getting a call in June of 2005. I was driving along, and I noticed that a call came up on my cell phone, and it was area code 212, which is Manhattan, New York City. And I thought, well, okay, I've never had a call from anyone in New York. This is potentially important. Let me pull off to the side of the road here and so I can take this call. And I did, and the gentleman who was on the other end of the phone introduced himself as somebody working with Departure Films, and he explained to me the concept of what was going on. They had a show called Haunting Evidence that they were pitching, or rather developing, for court TV here in the United States. And they said it was going to kind of be a unique departure away from a lot of the other paranormal shows that were out there, in that it was going to follow the exploits of a pair of psychics as they investigated cold case homicide and missing persons cases. And what they wanted to round out the cast was a technically minded paranormal investigator that would basically go in and try to document tangible paranormal evidence going on at these crime scenes while the psychics are there to kind of, maybe lend some integrity to what they're sensing and what they're feeling. And they said, would you be interested in this role? Would this be something that would interest you? And I said, yes, I would very much be interested. And they said, okay, well, we've got a couple of other people that we've got in consideration for the role. We'll be getting back with you. So I get off the phone, and I'm thinking, right, I'm never going to hear from them again. The phone's never going to ring. But about 2 or 3 weeks later, they did call back, and they said, okay, Patrick, we're going to fly you to Manhattan. We want you to do a test shoot with the other cast members on the show. So I figured, that's cool. If nothing else comes out of this, I've got a free, all-expense-paid trip to New York City. I've never been there.
Well, that sounds good to us. We're all
Right.
sat here, we're all jealous now.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is great. At least I get to finally see New York City. So we go and we film, and every step of the way, I'm anti-optimistic. I'm thinking that that this is not gonna. Nothing's gonna come out of this. Nothing's gonna pan out. I'm waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under me. We did the test shoot. I thought I completely blew it. The network loved me, loved the other cast members, and then they greenlit us to film a pair of pilot episodes to air on Court TV. We went and filmed those. I thought those are never going to see the light of day. They finally did make it on the air, and I was like, well, nothing's going to come of this. And then I guess it was in late 2005, early 2006, they said we've been greenlit. We're going to be filming more of these episodes. They've greenlit us for a full season. So it just sort of happened, case of being in the right place at the right time. And I'm very grateful for the experience and the opportunities that the show has brought to me. And unfortunately, we're no longer in production. We've been out of production. It's hard to believe, for over 3 years now. But always have my fingers crossed that there's the door isn't shut completely, and that maybe excuse me.
That's okay. You got to get it out. It's a frog.
Yeah, right.
Are you still there? Do you need a?
I am still there. Yes,
that's all right. I thought you were. I can't resuscitate you from over here, but we all fought for you there.
I keep it in the back of my mind. Maybe the possibility someday they might resuscitate haunting evidence. But fingers crossed. Nothing. We haven't heard anything firm yet, but I do hold out hope that maybe someday that'll happen.
I certainly hope so. I mean, the series actually was exported to the UK, and I can remember watching several episodes of it. And I mean,
yeah, I remember that. I think it was on Living It.
That's right. Yeah, Living TV. You'll probably know that Most Haunted was in the same vein, and equally, it's gone the same way. We don't know whether there's going to be a resurrection of Most Haunted this year. They tell us that it will be, but I mean, can you tell us why the show was axed in the first place? I mean, did the figures go down, or did the ratings go down? Because actually, it seems like a really, really good concept.
Well, we actually I think it was a few things. Our ratings were strong and continued to remain strong in spite of the fact we had been off the air the time between our first season and our second season was, I want to say 7 or 8 months, which in terms of television is an eternity. During there I go again. All right.
It's the storm. It's the storm, Patrick. That's where you're full of dust.
That's right. It's the storm going on. I believe that it was probably 7 or 8 months lead time between our first and second season premiere. And during that time, during the downtime, they weren't even rerunning the first season's episodes. So, your viewers have television's a very fickle medium, and if you aren't out in front of your fans base regularly, common thought says that you'll soon be forgotten. And fortunately for us, we came back strong on our second season with almost no promotional effort from the network. And we basically picked up where we left off for the second season.
Yeah, sure.
And what we were told was that Court TV no longer exists. It's now a network over here in the States known as True TV. And they rebranded the network so that they wouldn't pigeonholed into only doing true crime type programming. And during the transition from Court TV to True TV, we actually did survive. The show was on True TV for its third season. And once again, our ratings basically remained about where they were, which I think is very impressive considering there was almost no PR work that was done for it. Very little fanfare for our second and third seasons, and we actually pretty much maintained our audience. But True TV ended up going in a new direction. Their programs that they have on now, I think, are more tongue-in-cheek and more sensational. Like they have a program on called Speeders, where they show these high-speed car chases from the vantage point of police helicopters.
That's so old hat, isn't it, Patrick?
It
I mean, that's
is.
a real shame. You had a really good show that everyone really enjoyed, and then they put some speeding car on.
I know. I think that it is kind of sad. I think that our program definitely had a lot more integrity, but the network is going after a completely different audience. They're looking for that 18 to 35 coveted male demographic that wants to see women in bikinis, scantily clad women doing the beach patrol, that sort of thing. So unfortunately, the network went in a different direction than the true crime stuff, and haunting evidence, unfortunately, was a casualty of that change. And
it happens, and I know that I've just got a message here from Yvonne Jerry, who is, she said she really loved the show, and she really loves you, Patrick. So I know you've just recently got married as well, so I thought I'd pop that one in there. You're too late, Eve. You can't marry him because he is already married. Now, I understand you got married underwater, is that right?
I did get married underwater, that's correct. My lovely bride, Marley Gibson, and I got married in a very, very unique underwater ceremony this past November. We did it on November 11th, 2011, at 11 minutes past 11 a.m. I mean, we rocked the 11s all the way across the board. And,
gosh, I couldn't even remember getting married. I don't want to, but I mean, I know that you guys, certainly getting married underwater. I take it it wasn't like here in the UK where you sit in and you have all sorts of floaty bits floating around. Over there, where were you exactly?
In the Florida Keys, there is a it's an underwater state park in Florida. In the Florida Keys, it's actually the only aquatic state park in the United States. It's called John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, and they have a beautiful statue underwater. It's called Christ of the Abyss. And it's about a 12-foot tall statue of Jesus with his arms outstretched in, I believe, about 26, 27 feet of water. So not terribly deep. But,
well, you could drown in that, though, Patrick. I mean,
sure.
I'm a diver as well. I know that, I know that, well, I don't know how that would feel actually getting married underwater. It's bad enough getting married on land. But I wish you well, and certainly I hope that you succeed in that marriage, and I'm sure you will, because if you go to that length in 27 foot of water, I think it's gonna carry on. I suppose we want to get back to the paranormal now. Sorry, Eve, you did throw me there with your little tete-a-tete. But I'm talking now. Going back to the show, I know that I know if you can think back this far, the Madeleine McCann case with the young girl from Britain that went missing. I mean, that was covered, wasn't it, by you guys? How did that all pan out?
Yes, we did. We were in Portugal. We were searching for little Maddie, and just a very tragic case. All of the cases we profiled were tragic, but the ones that involved children were especially touching a nerve. I'm the father of two small children, and I know that if one of my sons were to turn up missing, it would absolutely devastate me. And I know that Maddie's cause got just an unbelievable amount of press coverage there in the UK, quite a bit here in the States as well. And that one is just a real mystery. Our psychics, I believe, if I recall the episode correctly, both had different opinions on what they believe may have happened in that case. I think if my memory serves me correctly, because it's been a couple of years since I've seen the episode, I believe that they both basically felt that the family, the parents were not involved in her disappearance, even though she did disappear under very mysterious circumstances from the compound where they were staying. It just, that one is a real mystery. I don't even have an honest opinion or idea of what transpired there as well, because it's almost as if there's no motive.
No. I mean, and certainly the way that she did go missing, so strange. That there was a lot of criticism for the McCann family as to what happened, and maybe they shouldn't have left her on her own. But I understand there was a babysitting service in the hotel, and that was all enforced. And I don't think it's for us to judge, but at the end of the day, something went on, and if Maddie's still out there, then we really need to find out where she is. So, I mean, that was just one of the shows, and I mean, it touched the hearts of some of the guys over here. I know that very soon we're going to be coming to Graham, who has some questions for you from the floor. Do you have any questions on the phone in yet, Graham?
The switchboard is lighting up, Byron, as we speak.
Oh, there you go. So we'll be covering them off in a very short time. But firstly, I suppose really we want to go to another track here. So let's go to some of this, I suppose. We'll be back straight after this. You're listening to Soundart Radio 102.5 FM. Haunted Devon, Byron here, and with his crew, the Motley Crew, all of us here, and Patrick Burns joining us from the US. We'll be back right after this. Sound of Vision there, and of course Sound of Vision on the US. We have Patrick Burns, and he's in the US and he joins us right now. We also have Graham in the studio, and we have Neil, our technical manager from Haunted Devon, and we have Di, who's lurking in the background, Lurkio we call her, and she's making cups of tea and generally being a good egg and doing all sorts of good stuff. Patrick, you still there with me? I
am.
Cool. I always like it when you come back, because you kind of think, well, I've lost him now. He's going to disappear. Anyway, welcome back. I have Graham on the line. Graham, are you there?
Hello there. How you doing?
Can you hear Graham at all?
I can.
Oh, cool. Carry on.
Good. Yeah, Patrick, how you doing? Yeah, nice to speak to you. Okay, yes, we got some questions from the floor, and the first one I'd like to ask you, it's from Yolanda, and she's asked basically, have you ever had a paranormal experience which has truly frightened you?
Yeah. I'm sorry. The orange.
I think that question was, have you ever experienced that really frightened you?
Marley was talking to me from the other room.
All right.
Anything that's truly frightened me, you know, when stuff happens to me and I'm by myself, I get scared. Because I don't have, if you have another person with you, you kind of have that reality check. You kind of have somebody there that can either confirm or deny if did you hear that? Did you see that? Did you experience that? If you have another person there with you when something happens, it's kind of a reality / sanity check. I have a tendency to get very, very high level of anxiety when something happens. As certainly anybody that's ever done an investigation with me knows that when something happens, I'm always blown away. It's always like the first time it's happened when it happens to me. And when I'm by myself, or when anybody's by themselves, I think that the imagination has a tendency to run away with itself, because there isn't that element of reality check there, you know, that somebody to kind of confirm or deny. So, you know, anything that happens to me when I'm by myself really does have a tendency to kind of unnerve me and frighten me, because I think that just becomes a ripe, fertile ground for your imagination to run away with itself. So, in terms of stuff that's happened to me, you know, I tell everybody when I do interviews, I fear the living more than I fear the dead.
Yeah, we all agree with that, don't we?
Yes.
A lot of chuckling going on in here, Patrick, at the moment, I tell you.
They'll do more damage than the dead ever will.
Absolutely.
That's a very good answer. I mean, I think you're absolutely right in the context of whenever you have an experience, if you do something on your own, I mean,
yeah,
if you can't share that with somebody, then it has no gravity, in my opinion.
Exactly. It is just an anecdotal, personal, subjective experience, and I'm not so sure if I really buy into a whole lot of the, you know, you shouldn't investigate alone because of the dangers. I guess from a danger standpoint, you know, if you say go legend tripping, you go out in the woods to investigate a haunted location someplace. Out in the woods and you're by yourself, if something happens, you trip and fall, you know, you may not be able to have anybody to send, you know, to get for help to assist you. So that's the real danger. I'm not sure I buy into the whole, you know, you shouldn't investigate alone because you may pick up some sort of spiritual attachment. I'm not ready to subscribe to that. I think there are more terrestrial, well-founded reasons why you shouldn't go investigating alone. I
think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're silly enough to go off on your own, then you're going to be part of that legend anyway. So
absolutely.
I think Neil's suffering from microphone droop here in the corner. Neil, do you want to lift your microphone up there? It's all
my life.
Patrick, it's all gone saggy this end, so we just need to adjust him slightly. And Neil, you're on. So you want to talk about infrared photography.
Actually, I got a question first on EVP. Obviously, you're the master of EVP. We understand that there's a different sound frequency that the spirits try using to contact us with. Not something we can hear at the time, but obviously you pick it up on voice recorder. But we also pick up a lot of extra sounds, so doors banging, large bangs, knocking.
Right.
In your opinion, I mean, where did those noises come from? It's obviously not the ghost the spirit that's actually trying to communicate with us. It's obviously some sort of background noise or something they're doing.
Yeah, one of the things that we've noted a lot when we're doing an EVP session, we will hear pops. It's like a sound. And I've heard the theory that is supposed to be, some people believe that is spirit basically kind of crossing in and out of the dimension, and as it does, as it appears or manifests, there's this interference burst that goes out, and our recording devices can pick that up. It's an interesting idea. I'm not sure what the cause of that is, but certainly I agree with you. There's a lot of additional noise in addition to the EVP that we pick up on these recorders. And one of the things that I do like to stress to people, unfortunately all recorders aren't created equal, but I stress to people when they're shopping for a digital recorder to do EVP work, if they can get something where they can plug in headphones and monitor live, to try and do that, because as you know, in radio, the only way to really know what is going out over the airwaves is to be monitoring with headphones while you've got that mic open.
Oh, Patrick, you've not seen us here. We're all headphoned up here, aren't we, guys? The only person who isn't, who's just done a runner again, is Di. We will get her to speak to you later on. She's very shy. She doesn't like speaking. She just struts around and pushes him in the chest now and again. But I've got another question. Thanks for that, Neil. I'll come back to you in a second. And I know that Graham's itching for another question he has got from Facebook. I just want to speak quickly about... well, you've got loads of shows in the States, and we unfortunately do get some of them. Apart from yours, which was really good, we have a few others that were not so good. We won't name names because obviously we'll get into trouble. But we can ask you to name names because you're in the States and no one can. But I mean, from the imports that you get from the UK, I mean, you've seen a few. I mean, what do you think of our exports then, our paranormal exports? I mean, you've seen a few. What do you think of them?
You know, a lot of my peers used to joke and yak it up, obviously, about Most Haunted because, Yvette would be in a room and ask for a sign, and all of a sudden she'd get it, and she'd go running out of the room screaming. It would crack me up every time it happened, because I can relate. When that's me when I'm by myself and something happens. I'm like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I'm
like the Scooby-Doo, I can see you. I just eat a lot and sleep.
And run away from things.
Yeah. I actually appreciated Most Haunted because one of the things I liked about the show, yes, it was dramatic, and there was the over the top element that went into it, but the historical documentation that they did of the locations where they went into the history is something that's always been of paramount interest to me. When I'm learning about a location, is I'm interested in the history. I'm a bit of a history buff, so that's probably another reason why I'm so interested in ghost hunting and allegedly haunted locations. But I really appreciated how Most Haunted took a good 15-20 minutes of the show to talk about the history of the location. I thought that was very well done, and unfortunately, I think a lot of the shows here in the States kind of skip over that and don't get a chance to really they don't give the viewer enough of a historical background.
No.
They might kind of gloss over it very briefly and then get right to the ghost hunting. And I'm like, no, I want to know more about the history. I want to hear.
I think there's a tendency to do that, and actually, there was also a tendency in the early shows not to show any of the equipment that was being used. So
Right.
it was a case of coming in with psychic. You walk around, the psychic says
Yeah.
what they've seen. They all go into darkness. They all scream a lot, and then the end of the show.
Yeah.
But they kind of moved away from that in the later shows, and they started to use a lot of equipment, and it became. Well, you have to say
If
it
I
became.
may be so bold, I would go ahead and criticize my own show, Haunting Evidence. We had fans of the TV show that were like, you know what? Give Patrick like an extra 2 or 3 minutes in the episode to talk about what he's working with, to talk about the theory of operation behind this device, what it is he's looking for, what he's
Sure.
trying to get. Loved Haunting Evidence, loved being a part of it, but a lot of the fans out there that were giving me feedback felt that they didn't get enough background, enough detail. Okay, here's Patrick walking around with a tri-field meter. Well, what the heck is a tri-field meter?
Well,
What's that?
exactly. Sometimes it is Patrick walking around with something that flashes a lot, and and I think you're totally correct in the way that goes.
Yeah.
Certainly they don't really give much kudos to actually what you do. And
Right.
it's the same here in most of the UK shows. So what do you think about our exports then? And that was our one export. Do you know of any others? So, I mean, have you seen any other shows that come out?
I have seen Dead Famous. My good friend Chris Fleming was one of the co-stars, along with Gail.
Gail Porter.
Yes, Gail Porter. That's right.
Good friends with Graham's sister, isn't it? That's right.
I do know Gail.
Yeah, we name drop there. We name drop Patrick, right? So she doesn't know me, but she knows Graham, or certainly Graham's sister.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I loved Dead Famous. I thought it was really neat how they went out and sought out these famous locations, and that was certainly very good. To be perfectly honest, I don't watch much television. I think there were a couple episodes of Haunting Evidence that I've never seen. I spend most of my time online and
researching.
I think exactly.
Because you have another life, don't you, Patrick? We'll come to that in a minute. But firstly, just a quick one here. Someone's just pointed out to me that you apparently appeared, or it was I don't know whether it was a cameo appearance or what. It says here that you appeared on Poltergeist the DVD. How true is that?
That is true. That is absolutely.
Really?
I was on the 20th anniversary release of Poltergeist the movie on DVD. I was contacted. I guess, that was about I think it was the 25th anniversary. It was the 25th anniversary DVD release, and I was contacted by a production company. I was actually recommended for the piece by Professor Dr. Hans Holzer, late Professor Dr. Hans Holzer, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing a couple of times. And I got to participate in one of the bonus extras on the DVD called Science of the Spirits. And I did get to talk about a lot about what I was doing and my philosophies on that. I'm very, very proud of that portion of the DVD. And having the opportunity to participate in that. And I really, looking back, I cite the film Poltergeist as being one of the films, one of the things that really got me interested in this, because, and I talk about this on the DVD extras. I say, when I was a child watching that film in the theater, and they had a group of ghost hunters, of parapsychologists that set up in the family's house, and they had 1,001 pieces of equipment set up. They've got sensors placed. They've got cameras placed, and they actually, they actually captured activity on their cameras when they rolled the cameras back. I got goosebumps watching that piece, because that really started to make me think: can you use technology and electronics to substantiate the existence of this stuff, to go beyond it being just an anecdotal, subjective experience that somebody documents? So, I was very, very proud to actually be a part of that piece, and I think it's really good stuff.
Now, look, I know that everyone in this studio right now wants a part in Ghostbusters: The Next Generation when it comes out.
They've cancelled Ghostbusters 3, apparently.
Boo. We don't like that. We like Ghostbusters, and actually Kieran O'Keefe was well, apparently when we were chatting to him, it was one of his all-time favourite things. He would love to be involved in Ghostbusters. So if it ever does come up, please consider us. My name is Byron, and I'd like to play a part. I don't care if it's a little spooky thing. I don't care. Well, it wouldn't be a little spooky thing.
Mr. Puffy, actually.
Mr. Puffy, yeah.
As well. That would be the ultimate,
Yeah.
Get to be an extra, get to play a ghost.
I am not wearing that Puffy suit again. I haven't taken it off yet, Greg. No, look.
Play Steve Puff.
Yeah, they're always on my, get over there, get out. I mean, we're talking. I'll just swiftly move on then, because the thought of me in a Puffy suit is bringing tears to my eyes. Infrared photography, because you're a photographer, professional photographer, but also you're an author. But we'll go firstly to the photography, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Neil now, who's more of a technical guru than I am, and he's going to chat to you about this. Aren't you, Neil?
I sure am. Patrick, obviously, I've seen some of your work on infrared photography, and it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Some of the pictures that you've actually come up with. Now, is that a passion that has stemmed from paranormal activity that you've got into it, or is it something that you've always had?
Yeah, a little bit of both. My older brother, worked in a photography studio when I was in my early teens, and I remember seeing these photos that the resident photographer had hanging on the wall. It was a picture of like an apple and a rose, and the colors were wrong. There were false colors in this photo, and I said, "What's the matter with those photos?" And he said, "There's nothing wrong. Those were shot with infrared film." And I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting." Being the science buff that I was, I knew about infrared photography and how it was this subset of color beyond what we can see with our own naked eyes. It's invisible light, essentially, to you and I. And I just actually became mesmerized by these photos, and every time I saw examples of infrared photography over the years, was just absolutely mesmerized. And I always thought, gosh, it would be so cool to do a photo shoot in infrared, like in a cemetery. Not necessarily looking for ghosts. Of course, if you get a ghost in a photograph, that will be a nice plus, a nice bonus. But just to take some pretty nice looking photos. And of course, there's the paranormal element of infrared photography. There have been numerous photos taken over the years, some quite famous, that purport to show ghostly apparitions in these infrared photos. And so that's always been kind of at the forefront of what we do in terms of, from a technical standpoint of investigation. And I actually got into this. I didn't actually have any experience with photography, and certainly not infrared photography. For the second season of Haunting Evidence, my producers said, "Well, we've got a little bit of a budget here for equipment to work on for the second show. What are some of the things you'd like to have in your arsenal?" I kind of chuckled and rubbed my hands together. I said, "Okay, top of the list, buy a digital still camera and have it altered, have it converted for infrared use." And they did. They were able to get that within the budget, get that approved by the budget. And I ended up taking the camera and using it on the first couple episodes of the show. And our producers said, we've got a little bit of downtime here before we film our next episode. Would you like to hang on to the camera for a few weeks and play around with it at home? And I said, absolutely. So I took it back to Atlanta with me, and ended up heading down to Oakland Cemetery in downtown Atlanta, which is a cemetery that predates the Civil War. Actually, I think that the earliest graves in there are dated to the late 1700s or early 1800s, which of course I know in there in the UK you've got cemeteries that are 10 times that old, right? But that's actually quite an old cemetery here here in the States. And so I went down there and did some work. Again, no experience in photography whatsoever. Just wanted to see what happened, and I was looking at what I was getting on the viewfinder, on the camera, on the LCD. And I guess at that point, inspiration just sort of took over, and I got got goosebumps on myself because I was like, wow, I can do this. I can actually do this. And took my my work home and showed it to my family and friends, and people were like, this stuff is worthy of being displayed in a gallery, Patrick. And I said, okay. So that's sort of how I got into this. Again, no formal training in photography, just I guess a natural eye for composing a shot. And I've you can see samples of my work at patrick-burns.net, and I've got literally hundreds, if not thousands, of other print-worthy photos that I've taken over the years. It's a matter of trying to find time to sit down and sort through these things. And
I know that Neil is sat here now rubbing his hands, looking at the chairman of Haunted Devon, and said, "Give me more money. I need one." I don't think you're going to get one, Neil. So you might as well close that door while we're going there. Any more questions from Facebook, Graham?
Let's just have a look, Byron. Just a second.
He's got a picture of something
okay,
rather dubious.
This is quite.
Away, all right. Okay.
It's a fairly controversial question, actually.
Uh-oh.
Were you ever asked to exaggerate things for the benefit of television?
You know what? To protect the guilty parties, I will not mention names. I will not mention the program or the project, rather, that I was working on at the time. But yes, I was. On one occasion, I was asked, nothing was coming through. Wasn't getting any type of activity on any of my instruments. And a producer walked up to me and said, "Slow night, Patrick." I said, "Well, that's the nature of the beast in my line of work. You don't always get activity." And he said, "Well, not unless we make it happen." And I looked at him and I said, "I'm going to pretend I didn't hear you say that. Do not ask me to play ball. I won't do it. I didn't get into this field for this reason. I'm not about to compromise my integrity now." And walked away, and I never heard another word about it, fortunately. This, and that is one of the things that I'm quite proud of. I never fabricated anything for the cameras on any of the TV shows, any of the pieces that I've ever been involved in. I'm quite proud of that. I sleep very well at night knowing that I never sold out. I like to joke around. I like to say maybe that's the reason I no longer have a TV show. maybe if I hadn't had such high standards and morals about what I do, maybe I might have been able to sensationalize things and bring even more ratings in.
Well, we are truly glad that you didn't, and I mean that there are so many people out there who would do that, and and have. I won't mention any names. We can't here, but obviously that's happened, and good on you, Patrick. That's all I can say is
respect.
But when are you coming to the UK? I mean, you need to do a UK tour, really.
Oh my God. You're pushing the buttons here. I would love, as would Marley. We both would love.
Well, why don't you come then? I mean, here's an open invite. Come down to Devon in deepest. We are the biggest county. We do have more. We have a lot more castles. We have a lot more everything here, don't we?
I just salivate when you say that. Yeah. These castles.
I mean, Devon and Cornwall are the two of the sort of the most historic counties within the UK. You're talking King Arthur's country and all that sort of stuff.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Dartmoor.
That's just remarkable. I mean, we're like here in the States. It's St. Augustine is our oldest town in the United States, and it's our oldest city. Was founded by the Spaniards back, I think, in the 1500s. So the city is like 500 years old, and we're like impressed with that. And it's like. Got stuff there that's over 1,000 years old, 1,200 years old.
Yeah.
It's just it's mind-boggling.
I mean, we were up on Dartmoor the other few weeks ago, weren't we? And we were looking at something that was 11th century manor house, and these are just found on the moor, and certainly they go a lot earlier than that, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
500 BC and
Absolutely.
various other places.
I mean-
I mean, it's a lovely place to come. So when are you coming? I mean, we asked you now, so you don't be a stranger. You have to come over, right?
We would love it, and we're going to take you up on that. I think 2012 for us is pretty much set. We've got commitments throughout, pretty darn close to the end of the year, but
Well, there won't be
we
a 2013, will there?
We'll
I
be
mean,
gone by then,
we're
won't
at 21st
Right,
of December.
well,
we
yeah,
even missed
I don't
Christmas
believe
this year.
I don't believe it. I'm betting that we're still going to be around after December 22nd, and the doomsayers are going to have to eat crow again.
Yeah.
But okay, so 2013 then is a date, yeah. I mean, come with
Yes.
Haunted Devon. We'll take you, and we'll take you to some castles. I mean, you'd like that, and I mean, we won't
would-
make you do
would we
anything
have-
difficult.
Would we ever? We would absolutely love it. The UK is just again. I'm a history buff, and
Have you been though, Patrick, before to UK?
I spent all of I think about 2 hours in England at Heathrow Airport. So that doesn't really count. I did fly through England. I was there when we were going out to film the Madeleine McCann
Oh, in
episode.
Portugal, yeah.
Yes, and I flew from Atlanta to Heathrow, and then from Heathrow on to Lisbon. But I believe that I don't count that. If you can't get outside of the airport,
Yeah.
it's like being in an international embassy. It doesn't
Yeah.
really count. You're not
No
really
passport stamp or anything. So
Yeah.
it doesn't count.
But yeah, I mean, well, you should come. And I mean, I won't labour the point now because we've invited you, and you've got an open invite. You can both come. We call it honeymoon. Graham's paying.
There you go.
There you go. And just a quick one, because obviously you've got some events coming up. Just quickly, how do people get hold of you, or how can they visit you? You've got a couple of websites up. So the photographer you've just mentioned, but what's your main site, the official fan site for yourself?
The official fan site, my official site for Patrick, for me, is patrick-burns.com. They can find me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Patrick Lynn Burns, is my profile. Or if people can't remember these URLs, just plug my name into Google. I'm I think the first or second Patrick Burns that comes up. So you'll see my Wikipedia page and everything listed just by searching me on Google. But patrick-burns.com is my official site, and Patrick Lynn Burns is my Facebook profile.
And just very quickly, we're running short of time, but you wrote a book with Marley, who is now, I believe, that's your wife, isn't it? How did that work?
Marley is the author of a young adult series called The Ghost Huntress, which is sort of a Nancy Drew meets Ghost Hunters type mystery story. And it's actually a 5-book series, and she's getting ready to write and release the 6th book. And Marley and her agent decided that they wanted to write a nonfiction companion to the series that would teach these young adults, these teenagers just getting started out, how to investigate the paranormal and do it from an ethical standpoint, a legal standpoint. And we wanted to do this and do this and write it to get people started on the right foot. And Marley asked me to participate and co-author with her.
And
Along with our good
this
friend
one's called The Other Side, is that right?
That's right. We had a couple of titles that we were tossing around. The Other Side is actually a term that was coined by, our friend and colleague, the late Dr. Hans Holzer. He came up with that term as well as Ghost Hunter back in the 1960s. And the title, The Other Side, was sort of a... in many ways, a tip of the hat to Dr. Holzer, who had passed away at the time we were writing the book. So it's I'm very proud of it, and the information that's in it is relevant to anybody getting started. But there's a couple of chapters in there that stress things like, don't if you're an investigator, don't drink, do drugs, don't trespass because you don't want your the person to press that you're paranormal team gets to be a police blotter. So we stressed responsibility and doing things by the book for the next generation. But the other information that's in it is certainly relevant to anybody getting started.
So just very quickly, because we're running short of time, but that book is available on Amazon, I assume, or it's out now.
It is indeed.
And just one final thing, Patrick, to say, really, thank you so much for coming to our little show tonight. Everyone's here clapping. And Graham has reminded you that if Ghostbusters comes on, he wants to be Mr. Puffy, all right?
Puffy or Puffy.
Exactly.
Or I want to be one of those ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you so much for coming out. And don't forget our invite to come again. And obviously,
I will put that in the calendar, and you just may very well see us in 2013.
Oh, I tell you now, if you come across, we'll share you a good time. And we've got some clapping for you. This is Adele, and playing out Patrick Burns tonight. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been listening to Haunted Devon on Soundart Radio 102.5 FM. I'd like to thank our special guest, Patrick Burns. Good to chat with you, Patrick. Thanks to Chris, our studio guru for the night, Neil and Di, and to, of course, Big Grey. Next week, return, hopefully, if I'm still around and I haven't been sacked, I'll be here. And good night. God bless, and see you next week.
That your dreams came true. Guess she gave you things I didn't give to you. Oh, friend, why are you so shy? It ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Yeah. You know how the time flies. Only yesterday was the time of our lives. We were born and raised in a summer haze, bound by the surprise of our glory days. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Yeah, nothing compares, no worries or cares, regrets and mistakes that memories made. Who would have known how bittersweet this would taste? Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I'll remember you it hurts instead. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much, Byron. There'll be more from Byron and the Haunted Devon crew next week at 10 o'clock. Here on Soundart Radio 102.5 FM, we're going into our evening programming. Kicking off in a moment with the Oblivion Substantial Show. That'll be followed by the Takeaway Tape from the Alien Kiosk crew. And then we'll have a playlist through the night until Sarah and John wake us up for breakfast at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thank you for listening. Soundart Radio.
Transverse rows of lingual teeth and a 12 by 18 foot extendable ladder and a fat transvestite with dual environments, along with a powerhouse notebook with automation, abstract handling and unrelated questions about football, a boa constrictor, and a man with one toe, and a woman with a confusing accent. 4 idiots have yet to make any kind of decision, and a self-confessed fan of industrial